Do you ever feel like your mind is at war with itself? You wake up already exhausted from battles you fought in your dreams. You spend your entire day negotiating with reality, arguing with things you cannot change, wrestling with situations that have already happened. Your boss made that decision, your ex moved on, that opportunity passed, and you lie in bed at night, replaying it all, rewriting history in your mind, burning mental energy on fires that already turned to ash. What if I told you there's a Japanese philosophy so powerful that it can end this internal war immediately? Not in weeks, not after months of therapy, immediately. The moment you truly understand it, something fundamental shifts inside you. The ancient Japanese call it Shikata ganai. It literally translates to "it cannot be helped" or "nothing can be done about it." And before you think this sounds like giving up, like weakness, like surrender, let me tell you about a man who discovered this philosophy in the worst possible moment of his life, and how it didn't make him weak, it made him unbreakable. Daniel Chen was 34 years old when his life fell apart. Not slowly, not gradually, all at once. In a single week, he lost his job, his girlfriend left him, and his father was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. 3 years of career building gone, a 5-year relationship ended, and the man who raised him given 6 months to live. Most people would break. Daniel did something different. He discovered Shikata ganai, and it changed everything. But I need to warn you about something before we continue. This philosophy is dangerous, not because it will harm you, but because once you understand it, really understand it, you can never go back to who you were. You will lose the ability to waste energy on things you cannot control. You will lose the comfort of complaining. You will lose the identity you've built around your struggles. Some people aren't ready for this. If that's you, stop watching now. But if you're ready to end the war inside your mind, if you're ready to redirect all that wasted energy toward things that actually matter, stay with me. Daniel sat in his empty apartment the night after his girlfriend moved out. His phone had 47 unread messages from the company that just laid him off. His father's diagnosis sat on the kitchen counter, medical terms surrounding the only words that mattered: terminal, inoperable, 6 months. He looked around the room and felt something he'd never felt before. Not sadness, not anger, complete paralysis. His mind was screaming at him to do something, anything, but there was nothing to do. The job was gone. The relationship was over. His father was dying. No amount of mental energy could change any of it. That's when his mind started the loops. The endless, torturous loops. If only I had worked harder, they wouldn't have laid me off. If only I had been a better boyfriend, she would have stayed. If only I had made my father go to the doctor sooner. Each loop burned energy. Each replay consumed mental resources. By 3 in the morning, Daniel was exhausted, but he hadn't actually done anything. He had just spent 6 hours fighting battles that no longer existed, trying to change outcomes that were already written. That's when something broke inside him. Not his spirit, his delusion. The delusion that mental resistance could somehow rewrite reality. He realized he'd been doing this his entire life. Every disappointment, every setback, every unwanted outcome, he would spend weeks mentally fighting against it. And it never changed anything, not once. All it did was drain him. All it did was keep him stuck. All it did was waste the very energy he needed to actually move forward. Daniel opened his laptop and searched, "How to accept what you cannot change." He found an article about Stoicism, then a comment from someone with a Japanese username. We have a phrase for this in Japan: Shikata ganai. It cannot be helped, not as resignation, but as liberation. Daniel spent the next 4 hours reading everything this person had written, and slowly, something started to shift. The next morning, Daniel did something he'd never done before. He made a list, two columns. The left column, things I can control. The right column, things I cannot control. In the right column, he wrote, my father's cancer, my ex-girlfriend's decision to leave, the company's decision to lay me off, the past, other people's opinions. In the left column, he wrote how I spend my time today, how I treat my father in his final months, what skills I learn, how I respond to difficulty, where I direct my energy, what I do next. He stared at the two columns. The right column was longer, much longer. His entire life, he'd been spending 80% of his mental energy on the right column and only 20% on the left. No wonder he was exhausted. He was pouring all his energy into a bucket with no bottom while ignoring the bucket that could actually hold water. He took a deep breath and said out loud for the first time, Shikata ganai. My father has cancer. Shikata ganai. I cannot change this. My girlfriend left. Shikata ganai. I cannot change this. I lost my job. Shikata ganai. I cannot change this, but I can control what I do today. Something extraordinary happened in that moment. The weight didn't disappear, the pain didn't vanish, but the paralysis ended. Because for the first time in his life, Daniel stopped arguing with reality. He stopped trying to mentally undo what had already been done. And the moment he did that, he suddenly had energy for the things he could actually control. This is the secret that ancient Japanese warriors understood. And this is the philosophy that allowed samurai to face death without hesitation. But let me be very clear about what Shikata ganai is not. It is not giving up. It is not passivity. It is not weakness. Shikata ganai applies only to things that have already happened or things that are genuinely beyond your control. It is the wisdom to know the difference between what you can change and what you cannot. And it is the courage to stop wasting energy on the latter so you can direct all your power toward the former. Daniel tested this immediately. His father's next doctor's appointment was in 3 days. The old Daniel would have spent those 3 days spiraling. The new Daniel did something different. He called his father and said, Dad, I'm coming to stay with you for the next 6 months. However long you have, I want to be there for all of it. His father was quiet for a moment, then said, You can't put your life on hold for me, son. Daniel replied, I'm not putting my life on hold. This is my life, being here with you. That conversation lasted 20 minutes. In those 20 minutes, Daniel did more for his father and for himself than he could have done with 6 months of mental spiraling, because he'd stopped fighting reality and started working with it. The next day, he updated his resume. He didn't spend hours agonizing over the layoff. Shikata ganai. It happened. It cannot be undone. What can I control? My next move. He sent out 15 job applications, not desperately scrambling, just the logical next step. No emotion, no resistance, just action. His ex-girlfriend texted him that night. Hey, I heard about your dad. I'm so sorry. If you need anything... The old Daniel would have spent 3 hours crafting the perfect response, trying to say something that might make her reconsider. The new Daniel wrote back, Thank you, I appreciate it. 3 words. Then he put his phone down and didn't think about it again. Why? Shikata ganai, she made her choice. I cannot control her feelings, I can only control mine. Do you see what's happening? This isn't about becoming cold, it's about becoming efficient. Every moment Daniel spent not thinking about things he couldn't change was a moment he could spend on things he could. Every ounce of energy he saved by not fighting reality was energy he could direct toward building something new. Within a week, he had 3 job interviews scheduled. Within 2 weeks, he had moved into his father's house. Within 3 weeks, he'd established a routine. Mornings with Dad, afternoons job hunting and learning new skills, evenings reading philosophy. His father noticed the change. "You seem different, son. Calmer?" Daniel smiled. "I learned something, Dad. I learned that I was spending my entire life fighting battles that were already over, and it was destroying me." His father nodded slowly. "You know, when I got my diagnosis, I went through all the stages: denial, anger, bargaining, but eventually I got to acceptance, and that's when I stopped suffering. The cancer is still here. But the suffering ended when I stopped fighting what is." That conversation changed everything for Daniel, because he realized his father had discovered Shikata Ganai on his own through facing mortality. And if his father could accept death with grace, Daniel could certainly accept a layoff and a breakup. The next 6 months were the most difficult and most meaningful of Daniel's life. He watched his father decline slowly. There were good days and terrible days. Every instinct in Daniel's body wanted to fight it, to rage against it, but he didn't. Every time that urge came, he breathed and said to himself, "Shikata Ganai, I cannot stop this, but I can be present for it. I can make these months count." He interviewed his father about his life. He recorded stories. He asked questions he'd never asked. He simply sat with him in silence when words weren't needed. He didn't try to fix what couldn't be fixed. He accepted it fully and used his energy to be the son his father deserved in these final months. Meanwhile, he got a job offer, not the dream job, but a good job with decent pay. The old Daniel would have agonized over whether to take it. Is this settling? What if something better comes along? The new Daniel looked at the facts. It's a good offer. It allows me to be here for Dad. It's a step forward. Decision made. He accepted and started 2 weeks later. No second guessing. No mental gymnastics. Just clarity. His ex reached out again. "I miss you. I think I made a mistake." The old Daniel would have jumped at this. The new Daniel felt the surge of hope, recognized it, and then looked at reality. This person ended a 5-year relationship because of fundamental incompatibility. That incompatibility still exists. What has changed? Nothing. He wrote back, "I appreciate you sharing that, but I think we both know this isn't right. I wish you well." Then he blocked her number, not out of anger, out of clarity. Do you see what Shikata Ganai does? It doesn't eliminate your emotions, it eliminates the confusion. When you stop arguing with reality, decisions become obvious. You see what is, you see what you can control, and you act. Everything else is just noise. Daniel's father died on a Tuesday morning, 6 months and 4 days after his diagnosis. Daniel was holding his hand. His father's last words were, "You became a man, son. Not because of success, because you learned to face what is." Daniel cried. He grieved. He felt the full weight of loss, but he didn't add suffering on top of it by fighting reality. "Shikata Ganai, my father died. I cannot bring him back, but I can honor him by living well, by not wasting the life he gave me." The old Daniel would have spent months in paralyzed grief. The new Daniel grieved fully for 2 weeks, but then returned to work. Not because he didn't care, because he cared enough to not waste the gift of life. 6 months after his father's death, Daniel was promoted. His boss said, "You have something rare. You don't waste time on drama. You don't get stuck. You see what needs to be done and you do it." Daniel didn't tell him about Shikata Ganai. How do you explain that you've simply stopped fighting reality? 1 year after everything fell apart, Daniel's life looked completely different. Better job, clearer mind, deeper purpose. He had completely rewired his relationship with difficulty. Problems still arose, setbacks still happened, but they no longer controlled him. Why? Because he'd trained himself to immediately ask, "Can I change this?" If yes, he changed it. If no, Shikata Ganai, and he moved on. But this single shift saved him hundreds of hours of mental energy. Energy he redirected toward growth, learning, building, connecting. He started a meditation practice, not because he was spiritual, but because it trained his mind to observe thoughts without getting caught in them. When a thought about his ex appeared, he noticed it and let it pass. Shikata Ganai. When anxiety about the future arose, he acknowledged it and returned to the present. Shikata Ganai. But Daniel discovered something unexpected. It made him more sensitive, not less. When you stop wasting energy on what you can't control, you have energy to deeply care about what you can. 2 years after his father's death, Daniel met someone new. Her name was Sarah. They'd been seeing each other for 3 months when she said, "There's something about you that's different. You don't play games, you don't create drama, you just are who you are." Daniel smiled. "I learned something painful a few years ago. Life is too short to waste energy on things that don't matter." But then difficulty appeared again. Sarah's mother had a stroke, severe, life-changing. Sarah needed to move back home to care for her mother indefinitely. She came to Daniel in tears. "I don't know if we can keep doing this. Long distance, my mother needing me, I don't know." The old Daniel would have panicked. The new Daniel took her hands and said, "Your mother needs you. That's not negotiable. As for us, we'll figure it out as we go, but right now, the only question is, what do you need?" Sarah was shocked. "You're not going to try to talk me out of it?" Daniel shook his head. "Shikata Ganai. Your mother had a stroke. You need to care for her. These are facts. I can't change them. What I can control is how I support you. So tell me, what do you need?" That conversation deepened their relationship more than a year of easy times could have. They made it work. Daniel visited every other weekend. They video called daily. It wasn't easy, but it was clear. 3 years after discovering Shikata Ganai, Daniel started writing about it. Just posts on social media about his experiences. The response shocked him. Thousands of people reached out. "This changed my life. Thank you for showing me there's another way." He realized something profound. Everyone is suffering from the same disease, the disease of fighting reality, of wasting energy on the unchangeable. One message particularly stuck with him. A woman wrote, "My husband left me 2 years ago. I've spent every day since trying to figure out why. I've been stuck. Your post about Shikata Ganai hit me like a truck. He left. I can't change that. But I can change what I do with my life now. For the first time in 2 years, I feel like I can breathe or up." Daniel read that message 5 times because it captured exactly what he'd experienced: the liberation, the sudden ability to breathe when you stop suffocating yourself with resistance. He started researching more deeply. He discovered that Shikata Ganai was woven throughout Japanese culture. It's how they rebuilt after World War II, how they responded to earthquakes and tsunamis, how they processed loss without prolonged victimhood. They feel pain fully, but they don't add suffering on top of pain by fighting reality. Daniel found studies by neuroscientists about acceptance. Dr. Stephen Hayes at the University of Nevada had spent 40 years researching psychological flexibility, the ability to feel difficult emotions without trying to control them. His research showed that people who could acknowledge reality without resistance had significantly lower rates of depression, anxiety, and chronic stress. They weren't happier because they had easier lives. They were happier because they stopped making their lives harder by fighting what couldn't be changed. This was Shikata Ganai in scientific terms. Another researcher, Dr. Kristin Neff, studied self-compassion. She found that people who could accept their mistakes without harsh self-judgment were more motivated, more resilient, and more successful. Why? Because they weren't wasting energy on self-flagellation. They saw what happened, acknowledged it cannot be undone, Shikata ganai, and then used their energy to do better next time. The science was confirming what the ancient Japanese had known for centuries. Daniel began teaching this philosophy to others informally. Friends started asking for advice. Strangers from the internet reached out, and he shared what he'd learned. The first step is always the same. Make the list. Things you can control. Things you cannot. Look at the list of things you cannot control. For each one, say out loud, Shikata ganai, I cannot change this. Feel the relief. Then look at the list of things you can control. This is where your energy goes, nowhere else. People pushed back. But isn't this just giving up? Daniel would smile. Is it giving up to stop banging your head against a brick wall? Or is it wisdom? But what about fighting for what you believe in? Absolutely fight, but only if it's something you can actually influence. Don't fight battles that are already over. But doesn't this make you cold? Ask my friends, ask my girlfriend. I'm more present, more caring, more engaged than I've ever been, because I'm not mentally elsewhere fighting imaginary battles. 5 years after his father's death, Daniel visited his grave. He brought flowers and sat on the grass. Hey Dad, that last thing you said, about me becoming a man because I learned to face what is, that changed my life. You gave me an example of how to die with dignity, how to accept the unacceptable without adding suffering to pain. I've tried to live that way ever since, and I want you to know it works. He sat there for an hour, just being present. When he stood to leave, he felt complete peace, not because everything was perfect, but because he'd stopped demanding that it be. Sarah was waiting for him in the car. Her mother had stabilized but would never fully recover. They decided to move her into a care facility so Sarah could move back. It wasn't the outcome they'd wanted, but it was the outcome they had. Shikata ganai. That night, Sarah said, I've been thinking about what you're always saying. I looked it up. There's more to it than just, it cannot be helped. In Japanese culture, it's also about acceptance without bitterness. It's about releasing resentment towards circumstances, finding peace within constraint. It's not just accepting what you can't change, it's doing so without poisoning yourself with anger about it. Daniel hadn't known that, but it made perfect sense. Because he'd noticed exactly this in himself. The situations hadn't changed. Life was still difficult. But he wasn't bitter anymore. He wasn't resentful. He'd found something better than getting what he wanted. He'd found peace with what is. The next morning, Daniel got an email from his company, restructuring. His position was being eliminated. The old Daniel would have panicked. 5 years ago, this exact thing had destroyed him. But now, he read the email twice, closed his laptop, and said out loud, Shikata ganai. He couldn't change this. What could he control? His response, his next move. He opened his laptop again and started updating his resume. No drama, no spiral, just clarity. Sarah came home to find him calmly working. You seem focused. What's up? He told her about the layoff. She tensed, expecting him to be upset. And you're okay? He smiled. Yeah, I'm okay. I've been through this before. Shikata ganai. I can't change their decision, but I can control what I do next. So that's what I'm doing. She sat down next to him. You know what? I want to learn this. Really learn it. How do I do what you do? Daniel thought for a moment. Okay. First, understand what it's not. It's not giving up on things you can actually change. Shikata ganai only applies to things genuinely beyond your control or things that have already happened. Second, practice the distinction. Every time something bothers you, ask, can I actually change this? If no, that's when you apply Shikata ganai. Third, he continued, feel your feelings, feel the disappointment, the anger, the sadness. Feel it fully, but don't add suffering by fighting reality. Feel the feeling, acknowledge what happened, then ask, what can I control from here? Fourth, redirect immediately. The moment you recognize you're wasting energy on the unchangeable, shift focus. Fifth, practice daily. You'll mess this up? That's fine. Just keep practicing. Sarah nodded slowly. Can I try something right now? Of course. My mother's condition, I've been so angry about it. Angry at the doctors, angry at her, angry at the universe. I know the anger doesn't help, but I don't know how to let it go. Daniel took her hand. Say it out loud. My mother had a stroke. I cannot change this. Sarah's voice cracked. My mother had a stroke. I cannot change this. Now say, Shikata ganai, it cannot be helped. Shikata ganai, it cannot be helped. She started crying. Not sad tears, relief tears. I can feel it lifting. Daniel squeezed her hand. Now ask yourself, what can I control? Sarah thought. I can control how I care for her, how present I am when I visit, whether I let this consume me or whether I also live my life, whether I poison myself with resentment or find peace within this constraint. Daniel smiled. There it is, that's Shikata ganai, not as giving up, as liberation. They practiced this together over the following weeks. Every difficulty that arose, they worked through it together. Can we change this? No. Shikata ganai, what can we control? They made it a ritual, a practice, a way of life. And slowly, Sarah experienced what Daniel had. The sudden availability of energy when you stop wasting it on the unchangeable. She became more present, more alive, more herself. Daniel found a new job within 6 weeks, better than the old one. His friends asked, how do you always land on your feet? He didn't tell them about Shikata ganai. How do you explain that you land on your feet because you don't waste time lying on the ground, complaining about the fall? 7 years after his father's death, Daniel and Sarah got married. During his vows, Daniel said, I promise to love you in the reality we have, not the fantasy I might want. I promise to direct my energy toward what we can build together, not waste it on what we cannot change. I promise to practice Shikata ganai so that when difficulty comes, I don't add suffering to pain by fighting what is. Sarah cried, because it was the most honest promise she'd ever heard. Their marriage wasn't perfect. No marriage is. They argued. They faced difficulties. They had something most couples don't, a shared philosophy for processing difficulty without adding unnecessary suffering. When Sarah's mother eventually passed away, Sarah grieved fully, but didn't destroy herself by fighting reality. Shikata ganai, she cannot come back, but I can honor her by living well. They had a daughter, named her Grace, and from the time Grace could understand words, they taught her the philosophy. When Grace was 5 and devastated that her best friend moved away, they said, your friend moved, you cannot change this. Shikata ganai. But you can choose what to do with your sadness. You can let it poison you, or you can feel it, remember the good times, and stay open to new friendships. By the time Grace was 10, she was already more emotionally mature than most adults. A boy in her class was bullying her. She came home and said, Mum, Dad, I can't control that kid's behavior, Shikata ganai, but I can control mine. I've been ignoring him, but today he pushed me. What can I control from here? Daniel and Sarah looked at each other, stunned. Their 10-year-old daughter had just demonstrated more wisdom than most adults. 10 years after discovering Shikata ganai, Daniel wrote a book, a memoir, his story, his father's death, the transformation, the philosophy. He called it, It Cannot Be Helped, Finding Power in Acceptance. The book resonated with thousands of people who were tired of fighting reality, people who were exhausted from resisting what couldn't be changed. One email particularly moved him. A woman in her 60s wrote, "I spent 40 years being angry at my father for leaving when I was 7. And then I read your book and learned about Shikata Ganai. My father left. I cannot change this." I said those words, and something inside me that had been clenched for 40 years finally released. Thank you for showing me there was another way. Daniel started speaking about Shikata Ganai. He would always start the same way. Raise your hand if you've ever wasted mental energy on something you couldn't control. Every hand would go up. Keep your hand up if you're still doing it. Most hands stayed up. This is the only thing I'm here to teach you today, how to stop. He would walk them through the exercise. Make a list of everything bothering you. For each item, ask, can I actually change this? If yes, make a plan. If no, right beside it. Shikata Ganai. Then redirect your energy to what you can control. People would leave those talks fundamentally changed because the philosophy was so simple and powerful that once you understood it, you couldn't unknown it. 15 years after his father's death, Daniel visited the grave again. He was 49 now. He brought his daughter Grace, now 15. They sat together on the grass. Daniel said, "Grace, your grandfather taught me something in his dying that saved my life. He taught me to face what is without making it worse by fighting it. Everything good in my life came from that lesson. Most people spend their entire lives fighting reality. They're exhausted, they're bitter, they're stuck. Not because their circumstances are harder, because they never learned to redirect their energy." Grace nodded. "Dad, can I tell you something? That philosophy you taught me, Shikata Ganai, I teach it to my friends now. When they're upset about something they can't change, I ask them, can you actually control this? If not, why are you wasting energy on it? Some of them get it, some think I'm being cold, but the ones who get it, I can see them change." Daniel felt his eyes water. His daughter was 15 and she was already teaching what had taken him 34 years to learn. This was the real legacy, not money or possessions. Wisdom passed down, philosophy lived and shared. 20 years after discovering Shikata Ganai, Daniel was 54. One morning, he woke up with chest pain. They ran tests. The doctor came in with that face. "Mr. Chen, I'm sorry. You have a heart condition, genetic, severe. We caught it early, which is good, but it's degenerative. Treatment can slow it, but not stop it." Daniel listened. He felt the fear rise, felt the urge to ask, why me? And then, as natural as breathing, Shikata Ganai. I have this condition. I cannot undo it. What can I control? How I respond, how I treat it, how I live with it. The doctor was expecting him to break down. Instead, Daniel asked practical questions. What's the treatment? What's the prognosis? What can I do to manage this? Sarah was terrified. Daniel held her hand. "Hey, look at me. I'm okay. Yes, this is scary, but we've dealt with difficult things before. Can I change the diagnosis? No. Shikata Ganai. What can I control? How I live with this, and I plan to live well." Over the following months, Daniel adjusted his life. He couldn't work the same hours. Shikata Ganai. What could he control? His schedule. He reduced hours. He couldn't exercise the same way. Shikata Ganai. He started walking, swimming, gentle yoga. Grace came home from college when she heard. She sat with her father and cried, "Dad, I can't lose you, not yet." Daniel held her. "Grace, I might die tomorrow. I might live 30 more years. Neither of us knows. What I do know is this. I'm not going to waste whatever time I have being angry about my condition. I'm going to live fully with you and your mother and everyone I love, and I need you to do something for me. I need you to live the same way, not consumed by fear of losing me, but present, actually here." Grace nodded through tears. "Shikata Ganai?" "Exactly. I have this condition. You can't change it. I can't change it. What we can control is how we spend our time together, so let's not waste it on fear and worry." This became their practice. Every time Grace visited, they were fully present. not pretending the illness didn't exist, but not letting it consume everything either. Daniel lived 4 more years. Good years, present years, real years. He watched Grace graduate college, walked her down the aisle when she got married. On his last day, Daniel was in the hospital, surrounded by family. Grace held one hand, Sarah the other. He could barely speak, but he managed to whisper to Grace, "Remember, Shikata Ganai, don't waste your life fighting what cannot be changed, promise me." Grace squeezed his hand. "I promise, Dad, thank you for teaching me how to live." Daniel smiled, closed his eyes, and stopped fighting. Grace spoke at his funeral. She said, "My father taught me one phrase that changed everything. Shikata Ganai, it cannot be helped." He taught me that most of our suffering comes not from our circumstances, but from our resistance to our circumstances, that we waste tremendous energy fighting battles that are already over. That wisdom is knowing what you can and cannot control. My father practiced this every day of his life, and because of that, he was the freest man I ever knew. Not free from difficulty, free from the suffering he could have added to difficulty. She continued, "He taught me that Shikata Ganai isn't about being cold or emotionless. It's about feeling everything without letting those feelings dictate your actions. It's about accepting what is while still working toward what could be." This is his legacy, how he faced what he couldn't change. I will carry this forward. And I hope everyone here will consider, how much energy are you wasting fighting reality? What would your life look like if you redirected all that energy toward what you can actually control? The room was silent. People were crying, not just because Daniel had died, because they recognized themselves in what Grace was describing, the wasted energy, the futile fighting. That night, dozens of people went home and made the list. Things I can control, things I cannot. And for many of them, that was the beginning of their own transformation. Sarah lived another 15 years practicing Shikata Ganai every day. When she missed Daniel, which was often, she would feel it fully. Then she would say, "He died. I cannot bring him back. Shikata Ganai, but I can honor him by living well." Grace became a therapist specializing in helping people process loss and difficulty. The foundation of her practice was Shikata Ganai. Her success rate was extraordinary because the philosophy worked. When people stopped fighting reality, they could finally work with it. The ripples continued spreading. Grace's clients taught it to their families. Those families taught their friends. Daniel's books kept selling years after his death, and everywhere people were having the same realization. I've been fighting battles that were already over. I've been wasting energy I could have used to build something real. 30 years after Daniel first discovered Shikata Ganai, his granddaughter Emma was studying philosophy in college. She decided to write her thesis on it, not as an abstract philosophy, but as a practical tool for mental health. She interviewed dozens of people who practiced it. All reported the same things: less anxiety, less depression, more presence, more peace. Not because their lives were easier, because they'd stopped making their lives harder. Her thesis won awards. And suddenly Shikata Ganai was entering mainstream psychology. Therapists were being trained in it, workshops were being offered. Daniel would have laughed. All he'd done was discover an ancient phrase and apply it to his own suffering. But that's how wisdom works. It doesn't need to be invented. It needs to be discovered, lived, and shared. Today, 40 years after Daniel first sat in that empty apartment fighting reality, his philosophy lives in thousands of people. They don't all know his name, but they know the practice. But they know the liberation of saying, "I cannot change this. Shikata Ganai, what can I control?" And they know the power of redirecting all their energy toward that one question. So here's my question for you. How much energy are you wasting right now on things you cannot control? that breakup, that job you didn't get, that thing someone said, that opportunity that passed. How much mental energy are you spending replaying it, fighting it, wishing it were different? All of that energy is being poured into a bucket with no bottom. Make the list right now, 2 columns, things I can control, things I cannot control. Be ruthlessly honest, put everything that's bothering you into one of those 2 columns. Then look at the right column, the things you cannot control. For each one, say out loud, I cannot change this. Shikata ganai. Feel it. Feel the relief of stopping the fight. Then look at the left column. This is where all your energy goes from now on. Not 50%, not 80%, all of it. Every ounce of mental energy should be directed toward what you can actually influence. This is the practice. This is how you transform from someone who fights reality to someone who works with it. Shikata ganai doesn't mean you don't care. It means you care enough not to waste your power on the powerless. It doesn't mean you don't feel pain. It means you don't add suffering to pain by fighting what is. It doesn't mean you give up on change. It means you focus your energy on what can actually be changed. Daniel discovered this in his darkest moment. It saved his life. It shaped his daughter's life. It's rippling through generations, and it can transform your life too, right now, today. The moment you stop fighting what you cannot change and redirect everything toward what you can. Shikata ganai. Say it, feel it, live it. This is the path.